me? Well, Well, I've been busy with the arrangements. Oh, you can't talk now. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Dinner tomorrow night. Oh, no, Arlene, I can't. We're having that big farewell party for the Russian ballet troupe.
She didn't know that? It's been in all the papers. Ask her why she didn't know that.
Why didn't you know that? It's been in all the papers.
What's been in all the papers?
Tomorrow night's party.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. They're winding up their tour tomorrow night, and the State Department asked Dad to host a party for him, and I... Right. Hi, George. Did Dad come home with you?
He's upstairs changing. Hey, would you like a drink?
I would love a drink.
Me too. Oh, you didn't hang up the phone.
I don't want to hang up on Arlene. Oh, the doorbell. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Yeah, bye. George, I have triple-checked everything. The caterer is done, the florist is done, the valet parking service is done, the bartender and the servants are done. Now, can you add anything?
Yes.
What?
My congratulations.
Thank you.
JJ, you did a wonderful job setting up this party, especially in a situation such as this.
What do you mean, a situation such as this?
Well, every time you deal with an Iron Curtain country, you run the risk of an international incident. And that's one thing your father doesn't need during an election year.
Yes, George, but this can help his campaign.
Yeah, if nothing goes wrong. Look what happened last month when they threw that party for the Russian UN delegation. Master of Ceremonies got up, made a beautiful speech, introduced the Russian embassy man, mispronounced his name, and the whole bunch walked out.
George, I made it a point to check all the names of the ballet troupe with the ballet master, Mr. Fedorenko.
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 Right.
JJ,
Hi, Dad.
Hi, Governor.
I wanted to do a little work on my welcome speech from Mr. Fedorenko.
Fedorenko.
Fedorenko. Yeah, I thought we'd work on it after dinner unless you have other plans.
No, I'm free tonight, Governor.
Good. Would you mind telling Sarah that you're staying for dinner?
Sure.
Now?
Oh, sure.
Everything all set for the party?
Dad, everything has been checked and double-checked and triple-checked.
Good.
You say, oh, good, like you're surprised.
Surprised? No. I wouldn't have asked you to handle it if I didn't think you were capable.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Did you remember to specify what time the hired help should be here?
They will be here at 4:30.
Oh, and the florist, I hope they're not going to bring the arrangements too early.
5 p.m.
And I assume that you ordered some extra vodka and arranged to have a bar put on the patio?
Dad, why you asked me if I remembered to do this and if I remembered to do that when I just told you that I triple-checked everything?
Well, it's a very special occasion. I just want to make sure everything was right.
But, Dad, why do you give somebody a vote of confidence by asking them to do something for you and then take it away by asking them if they remembered to do it?
Do I do that?
Yes.
Well, I think, a special occasion like this, I have a right to ask if you remember to order some more vodka and to arrange to have a bar put out on the patio, and that you remember to order the bus to bring the ballet troupe here.
Would you excuse me a moment, please?
Where are you going?
I forgot the bus. Now, do you see what you've done?
What have I done?
You see, every time you ask somebody to do something for you, they're so sure that you're going to be right here asking them if they remembered to do it, that they don't worry about forgetting to do it because they know if they forget to do it, you're going to be right here asking them, telling them that they forgot to do it. And this time, you forgot to do it.
Would you remind me to ask you what you just said, if you can remember?
Well, if I forget to remember, I'm sure you'll remind me.
Some people just can't hold their liquor.
Governor and JJ, brought to you by Lever Brothers. makers of fine products for home and family. Lever Brothers.
Let's cut Ellen Cullum in half. And shampoo this half with new Twice as Nice shampoo. It conditions hair. This half, regular shampoo. You see, Twice as Nice conditions, no snarls. The other, snarls. Twice as Nice conditions, hair is manageable. The other, well, Twice as Nice, shampoo and conditioner in one. You'll see the difference.
Jim, thank you so much for a wonderful party.
You never know when you're going to be up close. And because you never know, you need Close-Up. It's a clear red toothpaste with 2 whiteners that makes your teeth as white as possible. And it's a mouthwash that makes your breath as fresh as possible. Close-Up is for close-ups, because you never know when you're going to be up close.
JJ will be down in a minute. George will be right in. He's on the phone.
Thank you, Sarah. Sir, I'd like to ask you a question.
Yes, Governor?
It's rather personal.
Oh, you want me to leave?
No. Sarah, have you found that when I ask you to do something, I have a habit of checking on it to make sure that you remember to do it?
Oh, you mean like this morning when you asked me to send your shirts out, and then when you came home tonight, you asked me if I remembered? And then yesterday when you told me to tell the gardener to...
Yeah, well, never mind, Sarah.
Would you like me to turn on the FM and get some nice dinner music?
No.
Well, what will it be?
Never
All
mind.
right.
Well, I won't turn on the FM. I'll just hum something nice in the kitchen.
What do you mean you wouldn't go in there if you were me? Good evening. Good evening. Oh, Al Burns just called me. He told me the greatest Agnew joke's the funniest yet. Would you like to hear it?
No. Would you pass the salt and pepper, please?
Thanks for the salt and pepper. May I have it, please?
Yes, she is. I heard some bad news today, if that'll help. You know, I've never listened to salad before. It speaks a language all its own. Oh, JJ, that reminds me. Did you get an interpreter for tomorrow night?
Why did you ask me that?
Well, I told you Boris Fedorenko, the ballet master, is the only one in the whole troupe who speaks English, and he can't possibly handle it all by himself.
I didn't mean that, George. I meant, why did you ask me if I remembered?
Oh, well, the governor asked me to check with you to see...
George, let's just drop it. I'm sure JJ took care of it.
Well, thank you, Dad. Thank you. Mrs. Ferguson is going to act as our interpreter.
Why, Mrs. Ferguson?
Well, for 2 reasons. 1, she speaks Russian fluently, and 2, when she called to volunteer her services, I couldn't very well tell her we had someone else.
Why not?
Because we don't have someone else.
Well, what about Professor Deutsch, head of the Slavic department at the university?
Well, he's not available because he's going to be picketing outside the ballet.
Oh. He's going to be picketing outside the ballet? What if something like that happened here, Governor? I mean, the photographers would have a field day with something like that. Can you just imagine? I mean...
George, now come on. Now calm down. It's not going to happen. Just relax and let's enjoy our dinner.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Listen, would you like to hear that Agnew joke now?
All
right.
This is going to kill you. Mrs. Nixon gave President Nixon an Agnew wristwatch. And when Tricia asked him how he liked it, he said, "It doesn't tick too well, but boy, it never stops talking."
business here.
Oh, fine, sir. A show right in.
Beautiful.
Look all right?
Well, good evening, Governor Drinkwater and J.J. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, Mrs. Ferguson.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Ferguson. I didn't know you hurt your leg.
I took my dog to obedience school. A command was given, I obeyed. The dog did not.
Mrs. Ferguson, we can't thank you enough for acting as our interpreter tonight.
Oh, nonsense, child. A sister of the Republic is always proud to serve the state.
Well, frankly, Mrs. Ferguson, I was surprised to learn that you spoke Russian.
When one is married to a Russian, it is essential, you know.
I didn't know you were married to a Russian. Did you live in Russia, too?
Oh, yes, for several years. My first husband, Vasily, was a struggling writer, an idealist.
Vasily?
Vasily Shiputkin. We met when I was an Olympic skating champion.
Mr. Fedorenko, this is Governor Drinkwater and his daughter J.J., and this is our interpreter, Mrs. Ferguson. This is Boris Fedorenko and his daughter Natasha.
Welcome, Mr. Fedorenko.
It's a pleasure to shake hands with someone who has warm hands.
And I'd like to welcome you, Natasha, and tell you how much we enjoyed your performance on opening night.
My daughter would like to say something to you in return.
Я благодарю вас за комплимент. И абсолютно такая счастливая, что вы меня так пригласили. И когда я подъезжала к дому, такие цветы красивые, просто не поверить.
Aha. Well?
I beg your pardon. Oh! Oh, I wasn't paying any attention. I was listening to her accent. It is flawless.
What my daughter said, Governor, was to thank you for your gracious compliment and for your warm and generous hospitality. And she wishes to compliment you on the, how you say it, the plants where the bus goes. The driveway, yes. Truly magnificent.
Well, if Natasha would like to see our gardens, I'm sure J.J. would be glad to show her around.
She would enjoy that very much.
Mr. Fedorenko, we need your help. None of us can make ourselves understood. We can't get the ballerinas to take off their clothes.
Coats! Excuse me. J.J., why don't you show Natasha the gardens now, and I'll greet the rest of our guests.
Natasha? Excuse me. Oh, Mrs. Ferguson, would you care to join us?
What have you planted, Governor? I do have an allergy, you know.
Well, we have roses, geraniums, asters, and some lilies of the valley this time of the year.
I may be allergic to geraniums. Well, we'll see.
I think she's allergic.
I think you better get her inside before she cross-pollinates everything. Mr. Fedorenko, I can't tell you the pleasure that you and your talented group have given us by being here this evening.
The thanks belong to you, Governor, and to your beautiful daughter for being such a charming hostess.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ferguson, I would personally like to thank you for bridging the communication gap with your flawless interpreting.
He has just thanked me for bridging with my flawless interpretation.
I know that, Mrs. Ferguson. He said it in English.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Well, I've been so busy interpreting what everyone said, I didn't realize he hadn't said it in Russian. Got Rufe, Sosin, Fedorenko, Zaprir, Krasnai, Hershey.
She's thanking me for giving her the opportunity to serve as interpreter. She enjoyed every moment of it.
Oh, well, tell her the pleasure was all
Well, I mustn't keep the bus waiting. We catch early flight in the morning. And Governor, should you ever come to Moscow, I would very much like to reciprocate.
I look forward to that.
Oh, by the way, where is Natasha? I'd like to say goodnight to her.
Oh, I think she went out with the others to the bus.
I will say goodbye to her for you.
Thank you.
Night, Mr. Fedorenko.
Good night, Governor. Goodbye, Chichi.
Goodbye.
До свидания.
До свидания.
Oh,
I enjoyed this evening so much. I mean, it was so different. It's an odd sensation to talk to somebody who doesn't understand you at all.
I have that odd sensation every week when I address the Senate.
Well, I think it went exceptionally well and without a single incident. J.J., you were wonderful.
Wonderful, she was magnificent.
Spasibo.
Well, I think I'll be on my way. It's getting late, and Judge Ferguson is probably waiting up for me.
Governor. Yes. Forgive intrusion, Governor, but we take account on the bus. It's routine procedure when coming and going with a large group.
Well, what's wrong?
One of my dancers is missing.
Which one?
Natasha.
Your daughter?
Before we leave Russia, she says she might do something like this, but I pay no attention to her.
Do what?
Defect.
We are going.
We're not.
We are going.
We're not.
Why not?
I just washed my hair and I can't do a thing with it.
Now you can do a thing with your hair.
New Twice as Nice shampoo from Lever Brothers. It's shampoo and conditioner in one. Look, we washed half this girl's hair with plain shampoo, the other half with Twice as Nice. Plain shampoo can leave it snarly, hard to comb. Not Twice as Nice. Plain shampoo can leave it frizzy, hard to manage. Not Twice as Nice.
I just washed my hair and I can do a thing with it.
Now you can do a thing with your hair.
New Twice as Nice. Shampoo and conditioner in one.
Mr. Fedorenko, maybe she didn't defect at all. Maybe she walked back to the hotel rather than take the bus.
It's lovely out. It's a beautiful night for a walk.
Yes, I doubt very much if she defected.
But it's after midnight. A 19-year-old girl walking streets alone at night in America? Is that safe?
Let's keep our fingers crossed she defected.
Mr. Fedorenko, I'm sure when you go back to your hotel, you'll find that your daughter's there.
Well, perhaps you're right. I certainly hope so.
Mr. Fedorenko, would you please call us when you get to the hotel just to put our minds at ease?
Certainly. So then, thank you again.
Good night.
I'll let myself out. He's a very charming gentleman, but unnecessarily emotional.
Well, under the circumstances, Mrs. Ferguson, if my daughter was missing like that, I guess I'd be concerned, too.
Well, the judge never concerns himself when I'm out walking at night. Of course, I am black belt in karate, you know.
Well, Dad, what do you think?
I think it's true.
That Natasha defected?
No, that Mrs. Ferguson is a black belt in karate. Well, I'll say one thing. If Natasha defected, thank goodness she didn't do it here.
You're so right, George. If she'd have asked for political asylum in this house, we'd be in some mess.
Some mess is right. Hi.
Mrs. Ferguson! Well, how's it going up there, J.J.?
Well, Mrs. Ferguson is talking to her, but Natasha's dead set against going back to Russia.
She likes the country that much, huh?
Well, not really. She says it's a nice place to visit, but she wouldn't want to live here.
That's New York, J.J. What about the rest of the country?
George, her reasons aren't political. They're parental.
What does that mean?
Well, she doesn't want to go back to Russia because she can't stand living with her parents.
Well, is that all? We'll tell her to get her own apartment.
Well, she'd love to, George, but her father is totally against it, and he won't even discuss it with her.
You mean I'm sitting on the brink of an international incident because a daughter can't communicate with her own father?
Oh, that's probably Mr. Fedorenko now.
We have to talk Mr. Fedorenko into giving Natasha her own apartment. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything lavish. She was happy in the closet for over an hour.
Where is she?
She's upstairs.
Upstairs with Mrs. Ferguson.
Chichi, would you mind telling my daughter that her father is here? Right here and waiting.
Mr. Fedorenko, Natasha asked me to tell you that she doesn't want to talk to you.
She doesn't want to talk to her own father?
She said there was no point in trying to talk to you because you don't listen.
I don't what?
You don't...
I don't
She
I
said-
don't listen? That's what she says about me? I don't listen? How could she say I don't listen?
I don't know. Mr. Fedorenko, it's not unusual for a 19-year-old girl to want her own apartment, to want some independence. And Natasha says you refuse to even discuss it with her.
What is there to discuss? We already have a nice apartment. She has her own room, her own bed. She even has her own Venetian blinds. I don't know what that girl wants from me. Now, would you please go upstairs and tell my daughter to come down here right away?
I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't do it? Governor Drinkwater, would you mind telling your daughter, please go upstairs? Tell my daughter come downstairs.
I can't do it.
This is your daughter. Doesn't she listen to you?
Yes, Mr. Fedorenko, she listens to me and I listen to her. And right now I think she's making some sense. So if you take my advice, you'd go upstairs and have a talk with your daughter.
All right. I go upstairs and I talk to her.
Mr. Fedorenko, don't go upstairs and talk to her. Go upstairs and have a talk with her. There's a difference.
There's a difference?
There's a difference.
Oh, there's a difference.
George, would you show Mr. Fedorenko upstairs, please?
Wait.
Well, we should give that man credit for what he's going to do.
Well, what he's going to do is something he should have done years ago. I don't care if Natasha is 9 or 19. If a girl has something to discuss with her father, he owes it to her to listen.
Well, I think you listen. I just hope she makes some sense.
What do you mean?
Well, when you were 19, I'm not sure I would have let you move out and get your own apartment.
Really? Why?
Well, for the same reason that any father would hesitate to let a 19-year-old girl have her own apartment.
Well, what reason is that?
Well, aside from the fact that when you were 19, you were still in college, and I would have had to pay for the apartment.
Yeah.
You were, as I recall, at 19, rather a headstrong young lady.
Well, I hope you're not saying I didn't listen.
Oh, no, you listened. I don't think you thought I made much sense, but you listened.
Well, I can see that the best thing I did when I was 19 was not ask for my apartment because it's obvious that you would have turned me down.
Oh, I wouldn't have refused. I just said I don't know what I would have done.
That's exactly what I mean. You would have turned me down.
Why are we arguing now about something we didn't even argue about 5 years ago?
Because it's about time we got it out in the open.
All right, now it's out in the open. But I'll tell you one thing, JJ, and this is the absolute truth. I probably would have let you have your own apartment.
You see what I mean?
What?
You what?
I would have let you have your own apartment.
You would have?
Yes, I would have.
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
Oh, yes, I would.
Oh, no, you wouldn't.
Oh, yes, I would. I'd rather let you have anything than to go through this.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't let me have my own apartment. You probably would have refused to even discuss it with me.
The next time you're 19, I'll let you have your own apartment.
Oh, right. Oh, sure. Cop-out time. Boy. Personally, I think you're worse than Fedorenko.
Would you ask Mrs. Ferguson to come down here, please?
Why?
Because I think you and I need an interpreter.
Would you like some more tea, Governor? Oh, where's your father?
He went out into the garden to cool off.
Why? It's not hot in here.
It was a few minutes ago.
Oh? Would you like some more tea?
No, thanks, sir.
How's it going up there, George?
You wouldn't believe it. As soon as I brought Mr. Fedorenko into the room, he started yelling at Natasha. And as soon as he started yelling at her, she started yelling at him, and then Mrs. Ferguson started yelling.
Who was Mrs. Ferguson yelling at?
She was yelling at me for bringing Mr. Fedorenko up there in the first place. Then Natasha stopped yelling, and she started crying, and then Mr. Fedorenko saw that. He stopped yelling, and he started crying. And when Natasha saw that, she stopped crying. She walked over and put her arms around him and kissed him. He put his arms around her and kissed her. At that point, Mrs. Ferguson started crying, came over and put her arms around me, and then I got out of there.
Drinkwater.
Yeah.
Governor Drinkwater. I wish to thank you for your kindness, your concern, and your advice. I'm glad I listened.
Oh, then Natasha will be leaving for Moscow with you in the morning?
Yes.
And she's going to have her own apartment?
No, I said I listened. I didn't say I changed my mind.
Well, she seems so pleased.
Well, why not? It's first time in her 19 years that I listened. Yes, Governor, Natasha and I are going to try very hard to have same warm, wonderful relationship you two have. Goodbye, Governor, and thank you.
Goodbye, Mr. Federico.
Goodbye, Chi-Chi.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, George. Goodbye. We let ourselves out.
До свидания и спасибо.
До свидания.
До свидания. До свидания, Miss Ferguson.
До свидания. Well, Governor Drinkwater, I'm going to say what I hope is my last good night for the evening.
George, would you mind showing Mrs. Ferguson to her car, please?
До свидания.
До свидания.
Good night.
What was that for?
That was for Mr. Fedorenko. I think we owe it to him to get our relationship back to the warm and wonderful stage.
I think that's the least we can do
Oh,
for
I
it.
think so. Mr. Whipple, why are you peeking in Mr. Hoffmeyer's store?
Hoffmeyer's letting him squeeze the Charmin. I can't believe it. Look!
Mr. Hoffmeyer, how come you let us squeeze the Charmin?
I give my customers what they want, and Charmin's so big and fluffy they want to squeeze it. Oh, measure it yourself.
Gee, Charmin's big and fluffy, all right. It's so squeezably soft, it's irresistible.
Oh, look, Whipple's peeking at us. Oh, peeky-poo there, Whipple. Don't be shy, come in. Oh, Charmin's so big and fluffy, I'm letting the lady squeeze it.
Hoffmeyer, I can't believe you're letting him squeeze the Charmin.
In my store, Whipple, anybody can squeeze the Charmin. Anybody but you.
Charmin. So big and fluffy. So squeezably soft.
It's irresistible.
Hi, Dad. Hi, George.
Hi, J.J.
Hey, I want to show you this. It's a letter from Natasha.
Natasha?
Oh, what does she write?
And it's in English. Well, she said that she worked on her father all the way on the airplane, and when they stopped to refuel in London, she finally convinced him.
She got her own apartment.
Yeah.
Well, did she say that now she's living alone? Does she miss her parents?
No, just her father. Her mother moved in with her.
What about her father?
Oh, he defected in London.
The Governor and JJ has been brought to you by Lever Brothers, makers of fine products for home and family. Lever Brothers.